Hello, good morning. Welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. I thought today we would do a little bit of chest opening, a little bit of a gentle, sort of stretchy, flowy thing. Hope that sounds good to you. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. So, if you don't have blocks today, you can use pillows. We're going to set up in a position called supported fish. So, if you have pillows, you would lay them on the mat lengthwise behind you. Imagine that my blocks are like a pillow, and then you'd sit down on the mat and then just lay back on the pillows so that you get a little bit of lift through the torso. Make sure your head is supported, and that you get a nice little opening through the hip flexors. Now, if you happen to have a couple yoga blocks, then you're going to set them up like a T behind your back. So one block will go here, sort of at the base of the shoulder blades, and another block on the skull. And I'll show you how that works as well. And you can take your time getting set up. You're always welcome to pause the video and just make sure that the block, if you're using it, isn't too far down the spine. So it's really just at the base of the shoulder blades so that you're supporting the upper back. And then the head gets supported as well. If you're using pillows, you can choose to add or take away pillows. If you're using blocks, you can put them on different heights. I really like using the second height of the block. And then you might do a couple snow angels with your arms and just see if there's somewhere that feels really good for your arms and the chest to be open. Legs can be straight. Some of you might really like taking a butterfly here with the legs, so soles of the feet together, knees wide. Some of you might prefer to have the knees bent. If so, take the mat width apart and let the knees hang in toward each other. So wherever you need to go for a few breaths, and let's inhale deeply through the nose, and exhale, sigh the breath away. A couple more, just like that. Continue breathing however you need to here, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If it feels really open and spacious, or maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way. If so, you might gently try to lengthen through those parts to smooth the breath out a little bit more. Maybe your breath feels a bit more open, a bit more spacious here, with a little lift in the chest. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. Simply notice. Last few breaths here, letting the body settle. Remember that at any point, if you feel like you want to spend longer in a given position, you can just pause the video and stay as long as you need to. And slowly start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. If your knees are wide, you might use your hands to draw them together. And then gently, slowly start to lift yourself up off the pillows or blocks. Remove them out to the side. And then come down onto your back to allow the spine to neutralize. It might sort of feel like you're falling through the floor a little bit. And then draw the knees in toward your chest or your belly. You can take a little rock from side to side, whatever feels good here. If you have any tightness in the hips or anything that feels like it needs to be released, go ahead and do what you need to do. And then maybe you draw circles here. Or some of you might start to reach the legs up to the sky. Knees can be bent, they don't have to be straight. Arms might reach up as well, let the shoulder blades drape back to the floor, so there's not this sort of active thing. There's a little bit of ease. You might draw circles with the ankles or feet or wrists. And some of you might start to shake even. And it might be super crazy, like a turtle trying to flip itself off its shell. Last couple breaths. Wherever you need to be. I'm just going to keep going crazy. Last 3, 2, 1, and then pause in any movement. And then draw your knees in toward your chest. Again, little rock from side to side. Some of you might feel great rocking and rolling up and down your spine here. Shoulder blades to sit bones, to shoulder blades to sit bones. Some of you might prefer to roll to one side first and then gently press yourself up. But we're going to come to a seated position to start with. Legs can be crossed. You could be outstretched. You could sit up on a block, and that is a nice release for the hips, wherever you need to be. Little wiggle. And then inhale the arms up overhead. And then exhale, bring your right hands to the floor and slowly start to fold sideways to the right. Now notice what happens is this left hip likes to lift up. So can you think of rooting the left sit bone to the earth as much as you're reaching the left fingertips away. Make sure that right ear is not up by the shoulder, or sorry, the shoulder's not by the ear. Wrap it onto the back and think of maybe pressing the right fingertips away to get a really beautiful side bend here. Gaze can go up, it could look forward, you can look down, doesn't really matter. Last couple breaths. And then inhale all the way back up. We'll switch sides. Left hand comes to the floor, right arm lifts high. Exhale over to the left. And again, think of rooting that right sit bone down. Right fingertips reach away. Lots of space between the shoulders and ears. If you press the left fingertips away from you, you can really start to puff up the ribs on the right side. Last couple of breaths. And then inhale, back through center, little wiggle, little shake. Bring your hands behind you now. And then come to a position with the fingertips either facing forward or to the sides, whatever works better for you. Heels underneath knees, and then make sure the shoulders aren't wrapping forward. Wrap them onto your back. Spread the fingers wide. Press into the hands and feet. Inhale, lift the hips up. Reverse tabletop. Couple breaths here, nothing too crazy. Just getting that opening through the chest while working the lower body and the core. And slowly lower back down. Cross your legs. Come forward to hands and knees. Setting up with knees underneath hips. Toes can be tucked or untucked behind you, whatever feels comfortable here. Hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. Let's start to move through cat and cow, inhaling to dip the belly. Exhale to round through the spine. Really press it up to the sky. Inhale slowly into cow. Exhale, round into cat. So a few more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath. There's maybe some other movement here that would feel really good. Maybe you're getting into the side body a little bit more. Doing barrel rolls through the chest. If the low back feels really tight these days, you can send the hips back toward the heels while you're rounded, and that can get into the low back. Go wherever you need to go. Just play with the movement here. Last breath. Good. And then come back to center. A little draw of belly button to spine. I want you to tuck your toes if they aren't. Spread the fingers wide and then lift your knees about an inch or two off the floor. And then continue cat and cow. So the movement might not be nearly as pronounced here, while the knees are hovering off the earth, but you're probably working quite a bit harder. Last couple of breaths here. On your next exhale, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. You can pedal up the heels, getting into the calves, a little wiggle, rock from side to side. In fact, let's do that. Bend your knees, send your heels to the left, all 10 toes to the right, and lift the right hip up a little bit more. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, heels to the right, toes to the left, lift the hips a little bit more. Inhale back to center. Last couple breaths in downward facing dog. And bend your knees, look forward. Take as many steps as you need to come into standing forward fold. You could grab opposite elbows with hands. You could sway a little bit from side to side. I just changed position because I didn't want to knock my head on the counter. So, you know, all practicing at home, all this furniture around. Wherever you need to go, hands can always come to blocks, or your books or your tins, whatever you're using for a bit of support these days, or even knees and elbows. And then release the bind on the hands with fingertips to the shins or maybe the earth. Inhale, little part-way lift, finding length through the spine. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, fold. And then bend your knees slowly. Start to roll up to standing, one vertebra at a time. Slow as you need to go. You can always wiggle it out along the way. And eventually coming all the way up to standing, maybe a couple loops of your shoulders up, back, and down. Release whatever you need to release. And then feel a hug of the legs toward each other. Tailbone goes to the earth. Belly button draws to the spine. Shoulder blades on the back. On your inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Maybe follow with your gaze. Exhale, dive or fold down to the earth. Forward fold. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little part-way lift. Exhale, let it all go. Bend your knees, plant your hands so that the palms can come flat. So bend the knees enough that the palms come flat. And then step back to plank, the top of a push-up, either from your toes or from your knees, wherever you need to be. Right now, one day might feel different from the other. So if you need to go low, go low. If you want to go high, go high. Squeeze the bum. Squeeze the tops of the thighs. Really press the floor away with your hands. Make sure the hips aren't hiking up too much. But there is a little bit of a hollow body position on the front line of the body. And then you can always come down to your knees first. Exhale, lower all the way down to the earth. Untuck the toes. Press the tops of the feet into the earth. So much so you feel the kneecaps lift away from the floor. Send your tailbone to the back wall. Feel your belly button draw toward your spine. Wrap your shoulders onto your back. Inhale, lift the heart forward and up. Baby cobra, back the neck stays long, so try not to look forward with the chin. And exhale, lower down. A few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. And you can play with it. Hands can hover or come out onto the wood. Some of you might be pressing up even higher if you feel ready for that. Wherever you need to go. Last couple breaths. Plant your hands and then tuck the toes, but shift the hips all the way back to child's pose. Knees wide, toes together. Hips back toward the heels. Forehead toward the floor. You might not make it there today. You could stack your hands or your fists underneath your forehead if you wish. Arms can be outstretched or wrapped around your body, whatever feels good here. And slowly make your way back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward, exhale, walk, step, hop to the top edge of the mat. Inhale, little partway lift, exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands. Inhale, step back to plank. Exhale, lower all the way or partway to the earth. Inhale through baby cobra or maybe upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. One breath here. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of the mat. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. One last time. And forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back to plank. Exhale, lower all the way or partway to the earth. Inhale through baby cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of the mat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. And then pause here, either with hands in prayer or hands by your side. Eyes open or closed, and just breathe. Cool. Little wiggle, little shake. Flick your eyelids open if you haven't already. And then come on back to the top edge of your mat. You were probably already there. Send all the weight to your right leg. Find a little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Right? There's a little bit of a bend, and that helps the glutes engage. And then just gently pick up the left leg. And then extend the big toe mounds forward. Take a few easy pulses of that left leg up and down, but make sure you're not hiking the hip to do so. You don't have to lean back or buckle. If any of those things happen, just lower the leg a little bit. Guarantee no one cares how high your leg is going except for you. Keep the leg lifted. A couple of pulses of the supporting leg. Good. And then slowly start to sweep that left leg back toward Warrior Three. Really, really start to reach through that heel. Flare the toes on that lifted foot so your brain can find it in space and reach it further back. Now that right hip really likes to sneak forward. So can you even draw that hip back using the thumb on the right hand, maybe hands in prayer or any other variation that you know, that you love. Equal reach through the heel, through the crown of the head, and then exhale, step all the way back, Warrior Two. So heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. I really like heel to heel. Gives me a little bit more space in my hips. Bend both knees and then stick the booty back, right? Both knees bend, get a little wiggle, a little shake on. Pretend you're surfing or something. I don't know how to surf, but I imagine it's a lot like this. So go where you need to go. Right, loosening up that front hip. Good, and then come back into Warrior Two, eventually starting to sink into that front knee as the back leg supercharges towards straight. Hug the feet toward each other as if you're on ice. You don't want the feet to fly away. And then can you de-weight the big toe on the back foot so you're not rolling into the arch of the foot. You can really find the knife edge of the foot. Inhale the arms wide. They might be a little bend in the elbows. You can be super fierce if that's how you feel today. Palms could even be up. Just gentle. Wrap that front hip back and under slightly. Good, last breath here. Good. As you inhale, straighten through the front leg and then start to reach the hips back and the upper body forward, hovering triangle. Wow, this is crazy. Wrap the upper left ribs open to the sky. Last breath here. Good, inhale back, warrior two. Exhale, hovering triangle. So we're going to flow between these two. You might need to change the length of your stance so that it feels a little bit more comfortable. But warming up the core, the obliques, also the glutes on that front leg. Adding as much weight or challenge as you need to with the arms. Last breath here. Come back to warrior two, pause. And then reach the upper body forward as you exhale. Bring that front elbow to your knee. And then you can use that elbow to send the knee up toward the baby toe edge of the foot. The hips have a tendency to hike up here, so make sure you're sinking down. And then spiral the upper left ribs open to the sky, top arm to be up if you wish. For some people, that's hard on the shoulder, so maybe reach the fingertips overhead. Again, gaze can go anywhere. If you have a deeper variation, you're welcome to go where you would like to go. Maybe even a hand on a block on the inside of that front foot. Sometimes it feels really good to bring that top hand to the low back or the sacrum and then get a little bit more of a twist. Last breath here. And then inhale all the way back up. Whew. Gently straighten through the front leg. Spin the front toes to match the back toes. And then you want your feet parallel or even slightly turned in. Heels wider than toes, little bend in the knees. And then exhale, come into wide leg forward fold. Some of you might want to have something underneath your hands here, blocks or books or pillows. For some of you, maybe the hands quite easily reach the floor. You can play with the width between your feet, but make sure the knees aren't locked out. So there's buoyancy here. You can wiggle the legs. Maybe the hands come to the feet, or maybe they walk back. Or maybe the crown of the head starts to reach toward the floor. But wherever you are, make sure that you're not pressing the feet away from each other. Same thing as if you're on ice. You want to hug the feet back toward each other so that you're not just hanging out in the hip socket joint in the SI. Couple breaths here. If you're in a deeper variation, back out of it a little bit. Bring your left hands to the floor, underneath the left shoulder, even underneath your face. And then inhale, peel the right arm up to the sky. And then exhale down. We'll switch sides, right hand down. Inhale, left arm up. And exhale down. Once more each side. Good. You might heel into the feet in a little bit. Micro bend the knees. Belly button to spine, hands to hips. Inhale, come all the way back up. Spin the front toes to the front again. And then exhale, windmill the hands to the earth. Lift the back heel, step back through a flow, or to down dog, or to child's pose, wherever you need to go for a few breaths. Sometimes I like just sitting on my shins for a couple breaths. And let's meet back in downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward, exhale, walk, step or hop to the top edge of the mat. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands to prayer. Shake it out a little bit, little noodle. And then send all the weight to the left leg. Little buoyancy on that knee. Belly bend to spine, pick up the right leg. And then notice right away, are you hiking up that hip? If so, wrap it to square. Extend the right leg. A few easy pulses of that right leg. And imagine it's almost as if you're trying to pull the heel toward you to lift up. What that does is it activates the deeper core line, so you're not just really grinding into the quads and hip flexors. Keep the right leg lifted. A couple pulses of the supporting leg. Good. Keep going. Belly bend to spine. Inhale. And then exhale, sweep back toward warrior three. So that right heel reaches back. Flare the toes on that lifted foot. Belly bend to spine. And then really wrap that left hip back. Microbend the supporting leg. Crown of the head and the heel reaching in opposite directions. And exhale. Woo. Step all the way back, warrior two. Heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. Bend both knees. Stick your booty back. Let's get that little twist. You know, like we did last summer. A little bit more wiggle, a little shake. Whatever feels good, right? And for me, it feels so different from one side to the other when I do this. But it all depends on your chronic tightness or looseness. And then eventually, maybe, you start to come into that front hip. Bending the knee, make sure it's not caving in. Send it out to the baby toe edge of the foot. Wrap that front hip down and back and supercharge the back leg towards straight. Can you de-weight the big toe on the back foot? And then keep hugging the legs toward each other. Takes all the pressure off that front thigh. Well, 80% of the pressure off that front thigh. Fierce or bent or palms up, wherever you need to be. Last couple of breaths here. Slowly start to straighten the front leg. Shift the hips back. Reach the upper body forward. Hovering triangle. A couple breaths here. Try not to collapse the chest. Right? Really spiral the upper right ribs. Open to the sky. Little micro bend on that front knee. And then inhale back. Warrior two. Exhale, triangle. And inhale or exhale. Breathe. Just breathe and move. Last couple here. And the next time you come back through warrior two, pause there. Reach the upper body forward. Release that front elbow to the knee. Again, make sure the hips aren't hiking up. And then spiral the upper right ribs open to the sky. Maybe the top arm reaches up. Or you sweep the bicep over the ear without really reaching into the ear, right? Shoulder down the back. Or at least wrapped onto the back. Couple more breaths. If you have a deeper variation or something that you'd like to try with that top arm, go ahead. And then inhale all the way back up to the sky. Spin the front toes to meet the back toes. And then exhale, forward fold. So this time, maybe you go a little bit wider with the feet. Maybe you go a little bit narrower, wherever you need to go. Doesn't matter. Micro bend the knees. And then wherever the hands come to. And then rock your weight forward and back a little bit here. I think we have a tendency to hang out in the heels. And then hug the legs toward each other. To fold maybe a little bit more deeply. Maybe not, right? Maybe for you, today your wide leg forward fold is here, and that's awesome too. Last couple breaths. Little bend in the knees, belly bend to spine, hands to hips. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. And then come back to warrior two. Exhale, windmill your hands to the earth, step back, flow, down dog, or child's pose. And let's all meet in child's pose. Gently lower the knees. Knees wide, toes together, hips back. And then melt the torso toward the earth. Slowly, gently press yourself up. Sweep your legs forward. And then shake them out a little bit. We'll do one last thing before coming down to the floor. Hands behind you again, but this time point the fingertips back. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Bend your knees. We're not going into reverse tabletop. Press into the hands and feet. Shift the hips forward and then down again. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other and really lift through the heart, pressing through the index knuckle mounds. If you need more, then shift the hips further forward or walk the hands further back. Keep wrapping the shoulder blades toward each other. Last few breaths here. You might even feel this down your biceps toward the elbows. And then gently bend the elbows, shake it out, and roll down to the floor. Hug your knees into your chest, little rock from side to side. Bring the feet to the floor. And then let the knees hang over to the right or left, whichever way you want to go for a really gentle twist. You can always put a block underneath the bottom knee or between your knees. You can take a deeper twist if you wish. We're only here for a couple breaths. And then inhale through center and exhale to the opposite side. Inhale back through center. Reset your spine, your pelvis. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, please feel free to take it. Otherwise, think about where you would like to go. You could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You might end the same way we began, with the pillows underneath your spine or the blocks. Some of you might prefer to just rest on your side or in a seated meditation or child's pose. Wherever you need to be. For a couple breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. One breath away. A couple more. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a lovely rest of your day. Namaste.